Hey everybody, welcome to Standards by the Dozen. This is the Gem Session. I'm Willie Mayette, creator of Jazz Edge. Today we are going to be going through some tips and tricks for the Misty lesson. This is a little bit more advanced stuff. All right. So if you're a little bit, if you're more of a beginner or you feel like, oh, that's a little too advanced, that's okay. The rest of the stuff in the lesson is much easier. Like I said, more advanced ideas for you to try. So this is a relaxed atmosphere. You're going to see me take some sips of my coffee now and again. All right. So you're welcome to ask questions later. I'm going to end up playing the stuff first and then have you save your questions for later. So I want to say welcome to all of my students that are online right now. So hello, guys. And also welcome to my YouTube and Facebook friends. What's going to happen is YouTube and Facebook, I'm going to stream this for the first 30 minutes, okay? And that's going to go out to all of you so you can kind of see what Standards by the Dozen is all about, and you can, get some tips and tricks. All right, so I ask that you take notes and save your questions for the end. I will let you know when I'm going to be taking questions, okay? And I'm going to play the arrangement first, so let me go ahead and play it. Remember, you're going to get all of this sheet music inside of the course a little later today once once we're done, and I'll take this recording and put it online. All right, so let's go through it. So basically what I did is I took the Shells version and I just kind of, added a little bit more to it, right? So here we go. Here's the ending I'm going to show you as well. Oops, sorry. So I just kind of blasted through that for right now, just so you could hear it, but don't worry, we're going to break all of it down starting right now. All right, so right at the beginning, what I'm doing is this is really kind of a neat chord, right? So typically you'd be playing right in E flat major. So rather than playing the one major, what you could do is go down a half step and create a major triad there and a resolve up. And what this gives you is this kind of minor to major sound or diminished to major sound. Okay, you're kind of getting a feel of like it's almost like E flat diminished resolving up to E flat. But what's really happening here is it's that half step resolution, right? So you get the half steps moving up, half steps moving up. So another way of thinking about this as well, or another way of approaching it. So you see what I did there? E flat minor major seventh. So I can have that natural fifth in there for the E flat. But with this, you get a little bit more tension. So it's a nice little trick to, have in your arsenal. Anytime you go to that one chord, see if you could put that major triad a half step below and a resolve up. All right, this one, the A7, this one right here is just a tritone substitution, okay? Before it was E flat 7. Remember, halfway point in the octave for E flat would be A7. So rather than playing E flat 7, I play A7. So And remember too, when you have these chords like this, see how I wrote out all of these notes together at the same time? Obviously, you don't have to play them all at the same time like that. If you want to kind of roll them a little bit. All right, so feel free to have some fun with, you know, the way that you approach playing the notes of the chord. Don't think that you have to play them all exactly as written. There's a lot of room for interpretation here. Anyway, on the A7, pretty simple. Root 3, 7 right down there. Third, 7th. This is my sharp 9 right here for the A7. Oh, the other thing I want to make sure that I tell you as well is, don't think that just because I put this stuff in here that, number one, you're going to like it, or number two, that you're going to want to use it. You might not want to use it, and that's perfectly fine. This is more just to kind of give you some other ideas to kind of play around with, try them, and, you know, see if, try them on for size and see if they fit for you. All right, so this next one here, love this technique, right? This is, I've talked about this before. Basically what you do is, the A flat minor 7 to D flat 7 is a 2-5 progression, right? Even if it's not resolving to the 1, there's still a 2 to 5 relationship right here. So when you have that 2-5 relationship, take the root of the 5 and put it under the 2 chord. So just real simple, let's do this in C. D minor 7, G7, C major 7. Rather than playing D, then to G, then to C, I take the root of the 5, which is G, and I play the 2 chord in the right hand. And you'll see what that does on the G there, right? It creates what? It creates that sus4 sound. Right, so that's what's happening. You get that suspended sound by doing that. And here, all you're going to do is just literally the roots. You don't have to like add in, I mean, you could add in that A flat if you want to for a little bit more of a you know, a little more oomph, okay? If you're playing tenths or anything, if you happen to reach that, make sure you're not going to go up to the 10th here for D flat, because it's not a D flat chord, right? So you can do something like that, maybe go up to the E flat there, okay? And that gives you the sus4, the root, and the 5th of that A flat chord. But anyway, what's here is, and also kind of sounds nice to give a little bit of a roll to that, right? And for those of you that are wondering, like, wait a second, he's just pushing down those notes. He's not grabbing at them. No, actually, I really am grabbing. It's just very, very subtle how I'm grabbing at those notes. So I'm not pushing down, I'm still grabbing. Love this chord voicing, okay? Use this all of the time in my playing. It's pretty simple, to be honest with you. It's a root 3, 7, okay, for a dominant chord, and I'm playing a major triad a whole step above the root, and that creates the 9th, sharp 11, and 13. Now, a lot of times I say like those upper structure triads, which that's what this is. This is an upper structure triad. A lot of times I would say that those upper structure triads, you're going to play them in an inversion, right? So like that or like that, okay? But here's the situation in which the melody note is this, right? The B flat. So I can't really do it in an inversion because I'm going to have a, you know, a note above the melody. Okay, and I don't want to do that because, well, obviously that's a little too much down there, right? So here I'm just playing at root position. Root position is absolutely fine. The reason I say you're normally going to play in inversion is because it doesn't sound good to play root position on these upper structure triads all of the time. But now and again, it's absolutely fine. So, okay, whoop, I forgot to move that. All right, so adding a sharp 11, triad whole step above, okay, for the D flat 7. Okay, so again from the A flat. And also just a little pro tip here, make sure when you play this, don't hold this out for the full 2 beats and then jump up here, right? Make sure that you hit that and then you start to prepare that D flat 7, because you don't want to do this, right? Or, you know, and then mess up the chord, right? Notice also right here, see? Try and get that. Pedal down, right? So pedal down, up and down. All right, so moving on. Moving on. Okay, so E flat major over G. This is just it's a nice way of kind of smoothing out the progression. I like using that alternate bass because I find that the alternate bass a lot of times makes a sweeter sound. Now we already know, right? We could do a G minor 7 chord here. Remember, if I have my major chord, I could replace that one major typically with my 3 minor or my 6 minor, okay? D minor ain't going to work really well over here, but G minor going to C minor, going to F minor, going to B flat 7 would work perfectly well, right? That's a 3, 6, 2, 5 progression. So I could just as easily play G minor 7 here, and some players will play G minor 7. So here what I'm doing is I'm playing this E flat major 7th with the G in the bass. And now the thing is here, I don't really even have the major 7th in here. So I know some of you might say, well, wait a second, how is it really a major 7? I could do that just as easily. I don't want to do that because this. Let's pause for 1 second. I want to give you another little pro tip right here. What you want to try and do is avoid minor 9th intervals in your voicing. Now, this tip that I'm going to give you right here, you really want to kind of write this one down and really kind of commit this one to memory because this one is really huge. I'm just kind of sandwiching it in right here, right now, but really, really big tip. Okay, if you are playing your voicings and something just doesn't sound right, okay, it's like if I do like something like that, it's like it just doesn't sound right. It's likely because you have a minor 9th interval in your voicing. And a minor 9th interval, an easiest way to see it is it's an octave and up a half step. Okay, so take an octave, go up a half step. Take an octave, go up a half step. That's a minor 9th. Okay, it's extremely tense. All right, so but now that way is fine. There's a major 7th. And also if it was a half step like that, that would be fine. But for some reason that minor 9th like that really sounds terrible. So here I take the 7th out, but like I said, I could easily just put it right there. In fact, I kind of like that in some ways better. So here, just the 3rd, the root, the 9th of E flat, and then it's literally an E flat major triad with a 9th sandwiched in there. And like I said, if you wanted to, get rid of the E flat and make it a D. And the rest of this is, okay, the rest of that is as it is. Here, I did something as well. There's a little 2 against 3 rhythm going on, and there's also thirds harmonizing in the right hand. Notice I hold the D out here. Fingering 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4. 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4. Important, play that fingering, right? Don't do a different fingering. That's the fingering you want to use. 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4. All right, so that's that 2 against 3 right there. All right, moving on. Okay, so on the E7 here, typically this was a B flat 7, and all I did was rather than playing B flat 7, right, halfway point in the octave of B flat is E. I'm making an E dominant 7th chord, and there you go. So from that whole thing, measure 7. Now, of course, that's not what I have written there. What I have written there is that instead, okay? But you could also do that as well. I kind of like that voicing as well on E7, but you could do any of this. You could play all of those notes if you really wanted to. So what I have written here is this, okay? There's 7th, sharp 11, 3rd, 7, and then root down there. Can't really add the 3rd down there. It's going to sound a little too tense. Okay. Let me just fix something quick here, just to make sure that this is all flats. Okay. Okay, so again, and then we go back to the beginning of the tune. All right, so moving on. Okay, this is really interesting. Well, first of all, this right here on the A flat is not all that interesting. All I'm doing here is filling out the chord, and just wanted to kind of just remind you that, you know, when we're doing shells like this, don't forget you can fill in the rest of the chord in the middle there, and that takes it from shells sounding thin to shells sounding much thicker, okay? So for measure 11, see that? Now be careful. You heard I just rolled that chord. Do not roll all of your chords. It's going to sound a little too not the good kind of cocktail piano, all right? So you don't want to roll too many chords. You can roll some of them, but if you roll all of them, it just starts to sound a little bit, I don't like the sound. Let's put it that way, okay? So if you like the sound, knock yourself out. Now here, this walk up, now this is really kind of cool, because a lot of times, like this right here, that 2 measures is something that I would get questions on, and I have gotten questions on for years and years and years. And the question is, I have A flat major 7th going on for 2 measures. What can I do during that time? Right? And a lot of times we're talking about reharmonizations or something, you know, like changing a bunch of chords. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. This is a reharmonization of sorts, okay? We're not really reharmonizing any chords that are there. Instead, I'm adding in some chords. And what is it that I'm adding in? I'm adding diatonic chords, but they're diatonic chords to A flat. Not to the key that we're in, right? So that we're in the key of E flat. But here, we're now resolving to the 4 chord. And again, see how this is 2, 5, 1, right? So you see how this is resolving here to that 4 chord in the key of A flat. But then what did I say? Walk up to the 4 chord. Oh man, Willie, what are you doing to me? I'm walking up to the 4 chord of A flat. Right? So I'm thinking of this as 1, right? Because we kind of moved into the key of A flat for our bridge. So I'm thinking of this as 1, and I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, walking right up. That's the most basic harmony right there. A flat, B flat minor, C minor, D flat major. Okay, now if I fill it in with some chords, B flat minor, C minor. And then, moving on from there, this is cool. I see my friend Ronald is on here, so Ron, you're gonna like this voicing right here. Let's break this one down. This one has quite a bit to it. All right, so again, we're using that same technique of taking the 5 chord and putting the root of the 5 underneath the 2. Now, a lot of times I wouldn't want to do this multiple times within an arrangement, but since I'm kind of like doing this interesting voicing, it sounds okay here. Remember also this, like when I'm putting all this stuff in here, you might not want to play all of these different techniques when you make an arrangement for Misty or whatever. Okay, so you kind of pick and choose. Remember, everything always has to kind of support that melody and support the song. I don't believe that any of the harmonizations or reharmonizations going on right now in this new arrangement is taking away from the song, but it's always something that you really have to think about and make sure that you're adding to the song rather than taking away from it. So here, let's break down what's going on here. All right, so first of all, it's the A minor 7 with D in the bass. So there's my D, there's the 7th of A, there's the root of A, there's the 3rd of A. Now, why am I playing those notes in there? Well, you could just simply take that out and do that. But remember, when I see A minor 7, I know I could play any of those notes. I know I could also play 9 and 11, right? So literally, I have all of these notes to work with. double there, right? So the A's are doubled. Okay, so I have all these notes to work with. And I'm just basically like, okay, I'll throw in some. Okay, I could have put the ninth in there as well. Okay, but obviously the ninth or half step is going to create a little bit more. So I did that instead. Actually, I kind of like that ninth in there as well. And then here, it's a chordal built down from the melody. So here, this is the fifth, the root, and the 11th for the A minor. And then notice I held out that D. Okay, so right here, D7, alter chord. Okay, so root 3, 7, and then I'm adding in flat 9, sharp 11. So take a peek here. Let me blow this up just a little bit for you. When you look at this, if you're looking at this quickly on a bandstand in a dimly lit club, which one is easier to read quickly? Okay, so this is why we utilize ALT. And remember, altered usually means that you're altering the ninth in some way, and then you might, alter the 11th, the 13th. There might be some combination of different tensions, but they're altered tensions. It's not like I'm just like playing D7 with 9 and 13. I wouldn't write alt for that because this is not altered, right? So. And another way of looking at this as well is this also is an upper structure triad. It's that. And what triad is that? Up, before I do it, can you get it? A flat, right? So, right, there's your triad, A flat major triad. So if you put an A flat major triad over that D7, you get that altered sound. The major triad built on the sharp 4, flat 5, however you want to look at it. Okay, that major triad gives you the 7th, the flat 13th, the 7th, the sharp 11, and the flat 9. Okay. And then here, this sound. Love this sound. Kind of gives you a locked hand style. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at the left hand, and let's take a look at the melody first. That's your melody. Okay, now let's take a look at the left hand. That. Right, so you see that the left hand is just doubling the melody, but then you have all these notes sandwiched in between here. Let's break down what's going on here. Well, what is this? Notes of the C minor chord, right? So there's your 5th, your 7th, your 9th, and then there's your melody. And then all I'm doing is putting that F right underneath here. And then the next chord, I still play as C minor, okay? This one's pretty simple for those of you who are doing the Bill Evans voicings, the rootless chord voicing. There's your rootless chord voicing for C minor. 3, 5, 7, 9. And then I'm just putting that melody note underneath there, okay? And then for the F7, it's a basic F7 chord, right? 7th, root, 3rd, 5th. Melody underneath it. Can I throw in the 9th there if I wanted to? Sure. You can do that as well. I played the F instead. So you get to decide which one you like better. Actually, I kind of like that one better now that I hear it. Versus. Actually, I kind of like them both for different reasons. Anyway, you can play around with that. That's the locked hand style. Basically, what you're doing is you're taking the melody, you're doubling the melody with your left hand, and you're throwing in notes of the chord, sandwiching in notes of the chord right in between. All right, let's move on now. Here, all that's going on is I'm just playing these rich voicings without any movement. So you have all this movement going on. Right? All that movement going on, and then it's just nice to just have some nice, just relaxed voicings here. Right? So you see how I can just like play these nice, relaxed voicings? And just nice, rich voicings. What's going on here for G minor 7 flat 5? Well, there's your basic G minor 7 flat 5, and then just doubling the root and the 3rd again. Remember that minor 7 flat 5 with those 2 tritones in there already has plenty of tension. And on a C7, I would hold out that B flat, do this. There's my 3rd, 7th, flat 9, and 3rd. If I wanted to, I could also do that, add in the root, but I kind of took away the root because I felt as though it made it a little softer sounding, right? And then F minor 7, great voicing for F minor 7, root 3, 5, 7, 9, right? And then we're going to go to E7, sharp 11. Again, tritone substitution. Normally we would have had the B flat 7 there. Instead we're doing E7 as a tritone substitution. Okay. All right, so now let me play the ending before we end the stream for our YouTube and Facebook people. Okay, so let me play this for you and we can break it down real quick. So again. Now here, I just had that A flat minor 6 written as that. You can also, when you play it, you could also add that 3rd down there. Okay, that would sound nice. All right, so what's going on here? First of all, the theory of this: sharp 4 minor 7 flat 5, 4 minor 6, G7 5 7 of 6, if you want to call it that. Okay, which would be fine. C7 5 7 of 2, and then 2 F minor is 2, B flat 7 is 5, and then you have that the 1 chord, right? And here, like the analysis of this, I call it, maybe like 7 over 1. Okay, resolving to the 1. All right, so the A minor 7 flat 5. A flat minor 6, G7, G augmented 7th. And then here, notice what I did in the left hand. I went up to the E flat, right? Rather than playing the D or anything else, or just doing this. The E flat, right, is also D sharp, which is the sharp 5 of that augmented chord. Remember that plus sign there means that it is augmented, and that means that you sharp the 5th. Okay, so. What's happening here? C7, root 3, 7, sharp 5, and then coming down 5th, 3rd root of C augmented 7. Now again, on here, the F minor 7. Let's talk fingering. 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. I just pick up then 3, 5, 2, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so. Now, the cool thing is you can play around with this, all right? You don't have to just play it like that and just end it. It doesn't have to be. Okay, thank you, right? That wouldn't be a very good ending. First of all, you can see the retard here, but really this whole ending can really be loosey-goosey if you want to, unless you're playing with a band. If you're playing with a band, well, then you got to be less loose with it, and you're going to kind of stay in time, or you're going to have to cue them on each chord, like. Right? So if you're going to play with the band, you're going to have to give them some kind of a cue, or you're going to have to play it in time. If you're playing it solo, you can then really kind of be free with this. Just gotta kind of play around with that a little bit. I came up here. So I definitely encourage you to take this, and by the way, I was playing this as an E flat before. It's written as an F. You can play it as either or. Okay? I really encourage you to take this ending and really play it. Play it as written first, and then start to like just kind of settle into it and play around with it, and come up with some of your own ideas. Remember, you could be very loose with that, with the time feel of that. All right, so we are done now for the first 30 minutes. So I am going to say goodbye to my Facebook and YouTube friends. Thank you guys very much for joining me. If you're interested in signing up, just go back to Jazz Edge, and would love to have you as a student on the site. So thank you guys very much, and I will see you later. The rest of my students, please hang tight for the rest of the session.